Garage. I'm Pipes, and this is going to be a pipe side project. This is a 5.9 Cummins out of a 2005 2500, and it is going in my 2007 3500 with a 5.9 Cummins as mine's blown up. Got a 285, 75, 17-inch tire on it. It's also got a leveling kit up front, nothing too crazy there. And yeah, this engine is going in it. It's the same engine that came out of it, basically a high output 5.9 common rail engine. These were in use from 04.5 to 2007, and 2007.5 is when they changed over to 6.7, the more powerful Cummins, had the VGT and emissions and everything. It's a pre-emissions engine still. It had catalytic converters, but that's about it. And VGR, no nothing like that. So we're going to get ripping and tearing on this and take it apart and check basically all the main bearings. We're going to check rod bearings as well. We're going to check the pistons to see if they're in spec, out of spec. I got all the spec sheets, torque sheets, and everything like that to pull apart this engine. I have never pulled apart a 5.9 Cummins or put one back together, so this should be pretty interesting. But we're going to start with taking off all the front accessory drive, what's left of it. We've got the water pump, the harmonic balancer, and main pulley, the dampener. And we've got this pulley here, I don't know what that's for. We've got this doohickey here, the cover for the fuel pump. We're going to take the CP3 off. This is just the one that came with the truck. This is out of the truck with about 200,000 kilometers on it. It ran good. The guy was having injector issues on top of other issues that he's already been having, transmissions, and my transmission's also on the way out. I think this is the 4th or 5th one it's had in it. Definitely not stock because it's like blue or something, some sort of color, so that'll be another day's job, is rebuilding that transmission with some sweet parts like a valve body and whatever else. But this, yeah, used engine, supposedly ran good, minus the injector issue. It's just a short block. It was cheap. I spent like just under $1,100 for it. Shipped to me from Alberta, so that was a good deal. We're going to take the oil filter off. I am going to keep it just because I would like to cut into it at some point and see what kind of materials in there, if any. I doubt there is, but we'll know when we're checking the rod main bearings and all that sort of stuff. As I was saying, we're going to be checking the rod and main bearings. We're going to be using plastic gauge for that. It's not exactly the most accurate way to check clearances, but it is tried and true, and it'll give me a good rough idea of whether or not I need to put bearings in this engine, which if it's all within spec, I'm going to be running it as is. Same thing with the rings for the pistons and the pistons themselves. I won't be putting any in if they're in spec. I'll just be cleaning it up and reusing it. Dingle ball honing, whatnot, and just making the walls look clean and get the glazing off of them. They do have a little bit of glazing in them, but it's nothing too crazy. You can still see the crosshatch, and I don't see any signs of any broken rings. Piston protrusion is all where it's supposed to be. This block hasn't been decked before. It's still a factory block from what I can see, and it's still got the standard size pistons in it, so it's never been rebuilt or anything like that. A little tip when you go to buy your plastic gauge, if you're going to an auto parts store or anything like that, check it with a flashlight. Just take your flashlight and run it in here, and I'll show you what to do. So just run it all the way along and make sure you can see that there's a wax strip in there. If you can't see a wax strip, then there's no plastic gauge in there. The way that they have them sitting on at most parts stores, from what I've seen, is hanging like this. So if the glue fails, then plastic gauge will just fall out. I went through 3 of these at my local parts store before I got one with plastic gauge in. I bought one and it didn't have anything in it. It's completely empty. So I went back, and you know the drill. Eventually I did get one with plastic gauge in it, so that's good. Without any further ado, we'll get ripping and tearing on this, and stick along and enjoy the show, enjoy the ride, maybe tunage, I don't know. We'll see what I feel like doing. I got the gloves on, so it's going to get messy. These are an early Christmas gift from my girlfriend, so thank you for that. We'll get ripping and tearing here. I do also apologize about the audio. There is a heater running up there. I don't have a normal filming camera as it's currently in use, not by me. Something coming at a later date that you guys will see. So the fridge obviously isn't here. So the audio might be a little bit wacky. It's just coming off my phone, and the photo or video might not be what it's, you guys are used to. So I do apologize about that. Doing the best with what we got. Next episode I will have the camera back, the normal shooting arrangement and microphone and all that fun stuff. I'm going to start with taking the harmonic balancer off here, and that's not enough torque. So this is a 15 millimeter. Spun the engine over. It feels really good. I went to go look at one kind of locally, about 2 hours away from where I live here, and it was in the same shape of disrepair as my current one. So I passed on it because it would need a full rebuild just like mine does. There were some rough spots, and I like the look of it. And that's life. Yeah, from what I could see, there's a little bit of a ridge just at the top of the cylinder here. It's not a huge ridge, so we'll see what happens. Look at that. This is the culprit here, the little CP3. This is Dodge's advancement from the P7100 and the VP44 pumps and whatever they were using before that. Somebody will correct me down in the comments maybe if I go viral. We'll see. But anyway, the CP3, everybody is, it's kind of the pinnacle, the holy grail, I guess, or whatever, I don't know. Yeah, because you have tunability. These pumps are super reliable. The only downfall really of these engines is the fuel filtering system. That's why the injectors don't last very long, and in fact that's why my own injector failed and took out my engine. It did hang open from near as what I can tell, and overfueled the engine, overheated cylinder 1, and that's why the piston rings broke. And if I ever do a teardown on that engine, which I do plan on doing, because I want to see what all happened, we'll see what failed. But I know for sure just by looking at the bore scope, it did break the top 2 rings. So there's 3 rings in these engines. There's the top ring, it's from factory, a chrome ring. The second ring is a ductile ring, I believe, something of that sort, and then the third is an oil control ring. Mine had a little bit of blow-by, which turned into a lot of blow-by, which turned into unhappy engine, which I thought I could fix with injectors. Upon doing a compression test, cylinder 1 had no compression, which is no bueno. That guy comes right up. Yeah, this is the CP3 pump. There's a piston here, here, and here. And as this spins, it makes fuel pressure. Obviously, I'm not going to spin it right now. It's a little tough to. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's not tough to turn. Making fuel pressure. Anyways, this is spun by the engine, and it makes fuel pressure to drive the fuel injector. I'm not going to start that with an impact. In these 2004.5 to 2007 engines, they use a 5-hole injector, whereas the 04 to, I believe it was just 03, used a 8-hole injector with 2 injection events, and these high output engines for the 04.5 and up, they are a 3 injection, pre, during, post. So tunes, the aftermarket tunes, available to you, they remove the third injection event for better fuel economy. Alright, we're going to get this oil filter off so I can take the oil cooler off. I've got my drain pan down there, so hopefully it doesn't. Oh yeah, look at that. Came right out. It looks like these are all, again, 10mm bolts. So I'm going to use the handy dandy tool. Marks are all lined up here, my timing marks. I was going to take out the camshaft originally, but I'm not going to do that now. I am just going to leave it in the block as I measure the pistons and everything else, and then I will later remove that and the timing case, because it does have to come off anyway. So I'm going to spin this engine over and hopefully not die in the process, and hopefully it all just goes smooth. There for now. Spin it over, it'll catch any fluid that drops. I've made a huge mistake and a huge mess. All at the same time. That'll be back. I will now spin it again, hopefully without any little Cummins. So it really just wants to go all on its own. The underside of it. Seems like somebody cross-threaded this one. No, this bent. This bolt is just bent. Look at that. I've never seen something like that before. Check that out. That bolt is straight up bent sideways. So I'm not reusing that one. That's just gonna go in the garbage. Didn't make it. Usually I always make it. Off my game. So these aren't on here tight at all. So I did buy this engine used. It says it's got 200,000 K on it ish. This oil pan looks dented. It also looks like it's been off, just because, like I said, these bolts are all loose. Somebody, like, it's dented here, scratched up. Somebody was running it's like a silicone pad for a block heater. I'm not even worried about taking that off, but yeah, I guess this thing doesn't have a block heater in it. Like, it's got the block heater right here, but there's no cord. I don't know why somebody would be running a block heater and then just decide to put an oil pan heater on it, unless it maybe had both. Yeah, I've always wanted to mega cab. In my opinion, they look fantastic. The third gens hold near and dear to me. Fridge has his own mega cab. Actually, he's got two of them, and I've always wanted one ever since he had one. It just, yeah, I was kind of raised up on the belief when we were growing up as teenagers that they can go through anything and do anything, and they're stupid reliable and don't care what you do to them. Well, mine's kind of the outlier because obviously it's blown up. But yeah, basically I just want this thing to be a daily driver. I don't want a 1,000 horsepower drag truck. I just want something that I can reliably, tow a 10,000 pound trailer with if I ever need to, or haul a bunch of stuff in the box. And also just to have a diesel. I had a 7.3 IDI in 1993, non-turbo, so it had no power, but gosh, it was a lot of fun to drive. Just really liked driving that thing. I got it in lieu of my Bronco that I own. I own an 86 Bronco as well, and that's why I always get called the Ford guy, resident Ford guy. But I do have a Mopar. I at one time had two in my fleet. But yeah, I don't know, I kind of was raised on the Fords and always liked the Dodges. Never been a big Chevy man myself. Also, holy crap, there was a lot of bolts holding this oil pan on. Like, I'm going to be here till tomorrow doing this. But yeah, I've never been a really big Chevy guy. Always had a thing for Dodges and Ram trucks. I've always liked them growing up. Fridge, getting one when we were in high school and us doing all the stupid stuff we did as teenagers, it kind of influenced me, I guess, for better or worse. And yeah, I have my own now. I drove that thing for about a month. I did do a few modifications to it while I had it, and while I was driving it I put new tires on it, the bigger tires, like I was saying earlier, the 285, 75, 17. I got Toyo Open Country AT3s on it. Yeah, I put some LED headlights into it. I did an oil change and fuel filter change. I put a tailpipe on it because when I bought it, it didn't come with one. It just came with a straight through glass pack muffler. Yeah, I really didn't get to do too much to it because I want to say a little under a month after me owning it, it broke down on me. So never really got to enjoy the whole thing like I should have. So I've always just kind of been a little sour about that. Yeah, this oil pan has been on. Well, I don't know. It does have silicone gasket on it. In my opinion, it's trash. Like, it's got a big dent right here, down here at the bottom by my finger right over here. It's scratched. It's seen better days. It's got this thing on the back here. Yeah, I like to bring it back to life. But I have another one that I know off my current engine that's in the truck. I know it's in good shape. Scraping at the bottom here, I'm not seeing anything weird. I'm now going to remove the camshaft. Very careful not to nick any bearings. And there's our camshaft. Just on a visual here, everything's looking really good. So if need be, I could probably reuse this camshaft. So I am just going to stick this big stick right over here. Camshaft out, I can see all the lifters. They are, holy crap, a mirror. Like brand new. They look really good. Remove the timing cover now. fiber gasket. Look at that, that's off. This is the timing case. Like you can see here, it's damaged right there. So we're not gonna reuse that. I don't wanna try my hand at aluminum welding. Plus, as long as I'm careful with the old one out of my engine, I won't need to reuse that or make it work or anything like that. So that's what I'm gonna do, is just be careful. Now, what I'd really like to do is figure out which way I take these crank out. Alright, so now that I've found the proper order to remove the main cap bolts, I will do that. I can see all of these are labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Not sure if that's factory or what that is, but anyway, that's all how it's supposed to be. There is backs and no front on this side, so that means front, obviously. So, we'll now commence the main cap removal. Hold these up in the air, just like you don't care. Out. It's decent. Getting that back on there for now. Just cleaning them up here. They are, there's a bit of wear in there. So we might be looking at new main bearings. There's this groove here. I can't feel that with my fingernail, this one right here. So I'm going to call that okay until we check out what everything looks like with plastic gauge. So for now, that'll just sit back on there. I did remove this 7th one here. No surprise, it looks about the same as all the rest. So I'm going to go ahead and put plastic gauge down on all 7 of these and see what we are dealing with. I'll clean everything up and put the plastic gauge on, tighten everything down as it's supposed to be in the torque sequence, and then I will bring you guys back and we will have a look at the plastic gauge readings after I install and remove everything. Alright, so as you can see, we are all done with the plastic gauge. I have torqued the main caps and removed them, reinstalled them, and now I'm going to check the specs. So for this first one here, this is the first main bearing. We are looking right at 3 thousandths. So that is perfect. Right in between 2 and 3 actually. Really close. I'm checking the main bearing caps because that's where the most plastic gauge landed. There wasn't much on the crankshaft, otherwise I'd check on the crankshaft. This one, we're dead on 3 thousandths. This one here, we're again right at 3, right in between. Another in-betweener on that guy. That's number 3, that main bolt. This is the one I was worried about because it's got all this wear right here, but it looks good too. It's actually showing about 3 thousandths again, so that's good news. And we move on to number 4. We're tickling about 2 thousandths play, so that's really good as well. Our range is in between 2 thousandths and 5 thousandths is our range. We are looking for in between 5 and 2 thousandths. So we are bang on. So far so good. Number 6 is looking the same, right at 3 thousandths. And number 7 is right at 3 thousandths. I'm going to check 5 again because I don't remember if I checked it. And that one's right at 2.5-ish, we'll call it. So I'm really happy with these numbers. This is great. I shouldn't reuse these bearings. I really shouldn't. But out of the sake of time and budget, I am going to reuse them. So.